Hi. I'm Asta Paneru from Yorktown High School, and I live in Arlington. So, for the panel four, I would like to ask each one of you to come here and say something about you because we don't know you guys. That's why.
Like where we work?
Yeah, like that. And
Okay.
how you came here and how did you hear about our task and the.
So I'm Rachel.
Okay.
I could shout. Great. Yeah. Yay, now we're all official. Okay, so I'm Rachel, and I work at Mom's Organic Market. I work at the headquarters in the Rockville location. And I am co-captain of the environmental responsibility, or environmental restoration team, sorry, at the Rockville location. And so we were asked to come on behalf of moms to join us since we're a sponsor.
My name is Timothy Damon. You've already had my introduction yesterday. What isn't on my bio is that I'm currently with Sustain Us, which is U.S. Youth for Sustainable Development. And I'm also the economic advisor to the Intergenerational Equity Group, which is composed of youth from around the world looking to advance that concept of intergenerational equity. So I'll be speaking from that organizational capacity on this panel.
My name is Elena. I'm an energy auditor for EcoBeco out of Rockville, and I mostly deal with residential and multifamily housing and how to make the homes more energy efficient through small, low-hanging fruit and bigger, retrofits.
Thank you so much. And so, as a high school student, I have been trying a lot to help the environment in any way possible, and Carter and Olivia, doing small changes. And I know most of the high school students and college students are also doing the same. So today for the panel, I would like to ask you guys how you guys have made a difference, and how did you get to where you are today, and what are you doing to make a difference in everyday life. Or so let's start. And you can start.
So personally, I grew up in a green family. My mom likes to say she started using scrap paper before it was the thing to do. So I kind of have a natural inclination to basically live sustainably. I haven't really ever done anything different, and it drives me crazy to see people who just have no concept of you turn the light off when you leave the room, you turn the faucet off, that type of thing. In high school, I went to the Global Ecology Studies program at Poolsville High School, so it was very environmentally based, lots of research that we did. We actually worked in the field with some different organizations to do real research, which was pretty cool. We made a real difference. I kind of diverged away from that in college, and I went and studied something else. But now that I am working at Mom's Organic Market, it's just everything I do is part of that again. The store itself makes a big effort to recycle, to compost, to get the word out. We do a lot of education. I work in the wellness department, so I do a little bit more of the natural health side of the environmental movement. But just everything in that store is a part of an effort to help.
Okay.
I guess I would be a good example of someone who did not come from the green family background, but ended up very much caring about that area. I did grow up in the countryside of Ohio and drinking well water, appreciating a large outdoor environment when I was little, but it wasn't until I was a sophomore at Dickinson College studying law and policy, and I happened to get a case brief about climate change, and it was specifically on the Waxman-Markey bill for Obama coming up at the time, and that was the aha moment climate change. We need to do something about this. And as it also happened, Dickinson College is very huge on campus sustainability, and I coincidentally became involved in that and wondered why wasn't I a part of this up until this point. And I then ended up moving from just the policy side more into the activism side through Sustain Us, because what they do is send young people to various international conferences at the UN, one of them being the UN Climate Convention. And the whole idea is to get the voice of young people, specifically from the United States, more heavily involved and represented in that process, because we're not represented in that process. And it's very difficult for young people to be seen as credible actors. As Aidan has said, as I've had in discussions with Jerry and many others have alluded to, young people often aren't taken seriously. And so I hope on this panel we're also going to talk about and sort of prep you for the panel this afternoon that's going to talk about how young people can effectively communicate, and how have we as the panelists found that we're able to present ourselves in a way that lets us make a difference.
So I guess I kind of grew up broke, I guess is the easiest way to explain it. So I always had the mentality of you need to conserve, you need to do as least amount in terms of wasting resources and energy and stuff like that. So it kind of just was, I grew into it. And then I went to Arizona State for my degree in sustainability. So I was always passionate about, you know, energy efficiency and conservation and stuff like that. And then I moved into energy auditing, which is very wide in the amount of people that you get to meet. So you get to meet people with 6,000 square foot homes, and you get to meet people with 550 square feet homes. So it gets a broad aspect of people who are involved or kind of don't really need to do it, but are still conscious of it. And so then I just try to present as much information as I can to them about what they can do, whether it's small, big, or in between, and hopefully change someone's opinion or bill at the end of the day.
Right. Thank you so much. Now I would like to switch it over to the audience, and so that you guys can ask questions if you have, or share your experience, how you have made a difference, and yeah.
So I want to kind of throw the question that Tim said about how can you effectively communicate at your age? For each of you.
Oh, for all of us? I think some of it comes over time. I know that in high school I was not confident at all, even in college really. It just takes a lot of time. Communications courses, if you can take them at any point, definitely do that. Public speaking. Even some business courses will end up having you to talk a lot. And I know public presentations and stuff like that are awful, but they really help. Really, really, really help. And even internships where you actually learn to communicate in the real world outside of a classroom setting are also really great.
Well, I don't want to be stealing the thunder too much from this afternoon session, which I now feel like I'm doing, but specifically how I've been able to make a difference was through getting educated. As Olivia and Carter just informed us, you need to be educated first, and educating others is how you make a difference. But when you can go and present yourself as someone who has done their homework and understands the problems, then people will actually stop and listen to you. And I sometimes get into a bit of friction with a lot of my peers because we disagree over what is the most effective strategy for young people to engage. And to give you a concrete example of how the informed, educated approach lets you make a difference, when I was at the conference in Warsaw, Poland last November, December for the big climate meeting, we were able to get, as young people who have no actual official voice or say in the process, we're just civil society observers, and we can't even get into the real negotiating sessions where all the hush-hush talking is going on. We were able to get text inserted into one of the documents that came out of this meeting, specifically a reference to future generations. And that hadn't happened, ironically enough, since 1992, when they first ratified this big UN convention and they said, we're doing this for the benefit of present and future generations. Why had it been 19 conferences later that they were going to get future generations again. And we did that because we were able to leverage negotiators, because we were able to go up to them and be credible, informed voices, but also leveraging our role as youth. So you need to combine the creativity and the passion with an understanding of the issues. And so we got our foot in the door, and our goals for the Lima conference, Lima, Peru, which will be, again, this December, where I'll be going for Sustain Us, is to build on that to try to get the principle of intergenerational equity really incorporated into this big UN treaty.
To add to that real quick, what you were saying about being educated and knowing what you're talking about, if you can have an air of like an actual genuine passion for what you discuss, people will listen to you so much more. I know my job right now is partly sales, and I'd never done that before, and I wasn't really sure how that was going to work out. But because I care about what I'm talking about and I know what I'm talking about, they are so willing to hear everything I have to say.
In terms of my, I guess, career, the main thing is I listen to the people, because usually when I walk through the door, they say the upstairs is too hot or the downstairs is really drafty, and they don't connect that to energy consumption. They just think of it as comfort. And so kind of connecting the dots between personal experiences of uncomfort to the actual dollars or energy that they're wasting through that can really help them then broaden their idea of what their house wants to feel like and how they want to live their life. And a lot of times, most of these people don't have a clue on how homes are built or how they're designed, and most of them aren't built that efficiently. And I think an earlier, speech was about how the number one way of kind of conserving our energy is just energy reduction of what we use. So the way I communicate is I listen, and then I just tell them everything I know that could help them.
I have a little bit of something to add. So like, when it is kind of hard when you're young to communicate with this and like become a leader in the society and like just come out. So I think one of the good ways to do that is also like building a team with your friends who are also interested to do the same thing. So when you have a team, you have more confidence and more motivation to do it. So yeah, I think that's also how it works out. Is there any more questions? Anyone? Or anyone wants to share their experience?
People might be curious to know more of how we got to be here, possibly. Or if people have questions. Maybe there are students in the room or different age groups. Maybe you have questions on if you wanted to be sitting up here where we are, could we give you any information that would be useful, or certainly feel free to talk to us afterwards. I think there's a question over there.
Oh, just basically, yeah.
All right. So depending on where you're at, you definitely would want to pursue, you can always pursue extracurricular involvement, and that is absolutely essential. Whether you're still in high school and you're just going to be involved with the recycling club and then push that beyond recycling to other issues, that will help you when you're applying then for college. When you're in college, you learn many of the most important things from that and get the most job-relevant experience, not so much from your classes, but from the extracurriculars that you're doing. So I was involved in a philosophical debate society. Okay, well, what was that relevant to? Well, it taught me how to speak well and how to make my case and to be able to engage with people in a civil, respectful, professional manner. And that's really great then for your CV. That's communication. So all experience can be relevant, and even if it's not something that sounds impressive, it has the transferable skills that you would be able to then highlight that's going to move you forward. And you just also want to show that passion again. They're going, whatever stage in the process you're at, passion will always be counted.
And keep in mind that even if you like the environment, but you're not good at science, like it doesn't have to be environmental studies. There are so many ways that you can kind of worm your way back into the industry that it's just, I couldn't even come up with a list right now. Like I have a business degree, but I want to end up working in marketing for maybe a green firm or somebody or a nonprofit who makes a difference. So there are lots of options. Don't feel like you have to shoehorn yourself into like the one spot.
I'll keep it going.
Rachel.
More specifically about moms,
Yeah.
I guess. So what is your job? Do you decide what products mom sells, and do you decide where that they purchase them from, or?
Okay, so I'm not in the corporate office, so I'm not like a part of the actual business, I guess. I work on the floor, so technically it's retail, but I work in the wellness department, so I do a lot of advising on health and wellness in terms of supplements and shampoos and really just ingredients and personal life, like I guess life decisions really. I'm not a health coach, I'm not certified, but we are encouraged to do a lot of research on our own. And like they teach us, they bring in the different companies with reps to give us like educational trainings, so we know what we're talking about. We get a lot of discounts and samples and things, so we get to try it all ourselves. So we have that personal background, so we have the passion and the genuine interest in what we're doing. And so unfortunately I don't get a say in what comes in, but most of this stuff is stuff I grew up using anyway, so I'm pretty attached to it. And I am a buyer, so I do make a lot of decisions for what we already carry. Like I have to keep that stocked.
Could you tell a little bit more about the triple bottom line approach that moms, I think, implement in the business strategy?
The what approach, I'm sorry?
The triple bottom line approach, do you know?
That's not something that I'm qualified to speak on, unfortunately. I don't know.
Okay.
So as far as mom's triple bottom line approach goes, they're both concerned about the environment. As far as the environmental concerns goes, like Rachel's part of the environmental restoration team, and from the produce department, which is where I'm working right now, we compost probably about 100 pounds, I don't know, maybe 100 pounds of compost a day, I would say is about what it weighs. And that compost can actually be picked up by customers, or it gets donated to charity. Some people juice it, for, different things like that. So that's kind of two bottom lines right there. That's environmental as well as equity, because we're considering charities that are, helping other people in the community. And as far as the economic side of the triple bottom line goes, I would say that we're not having to pay for the disposal of that waste if a little bit of it is taken before it actually gets to that disposal part. So that's a quick little simple answer to that. If you'd like any more, I could try to do my best. Yeah. Absolutely. That is a high-hanging fruit, I think, for U.S. corporations, though, simply because there's not an incentive for them to do it. And when it comes down to how U.S. business works, I think, from my point of view at least, is unless there's an incentive for a business to do that, most likely a monetary incentive, then they're not going to take that leap. Unless it's a very environmentally concerned business or started by somebody like Moms Organic Market, for example. It's started by a guy who's really passionate about caring for the environment and taking that extra step. And they actually purchase 400% more renewable energy credits than they consume. So we can actually, let's say we have a Terra Past Your Gas program. So that's basically, if a customer comes in and they're at the register, we can enter their zip code, and then we'll buy enough energy credits to match what their energy consumption would be from going from their zip code to our store. So it might take it's kind of the ethos of a business as in itself, and whether or not consumers are going to support that business, and that's kind of how consumers can have an effect on speaking with their dollar in the United States. But big, large international companies don't need just the consumers in one country. They have other ways of. I'm kind of rambling here, but I don't know.
My question's for Tim. I'm really intrigued by your work on the discounting, and I'm wondering, what kind of case do you present that is most effective in getting people in positions of power to listen to you and actually make changes?
It goes back to I can talk the language with them, first of all. That has to be the starting point for engaging with them. I remember in Warsaw, I unexpectedly had the chance to sit down with Poland's Deputy Minister of Environment, and actually pulled out a copy of my thesis that I had and one of my graphs that's over there. And there's this, I didn't know my colleagues sitting across from me were taking a picture of this as I'm talking to her, but she really wasn't familiar with it, but I was able to say, well, look, I've done this research. Did you know that there's this discrepancy between what we're all saying we hope to achieve at this conference and what economists are telling us is feasible for us to do economically at this conference? And that was the big selling point. And specifically in her position, since Poland was hosting the conference, they had to be very sort of neutral and just nod at everybody because they didn't want to be seen as unduly influencing the process by being the host country. But it really influenced her thinking. And it is also important to realize that a lot of the leaders who are in these positions of power, at least who I've talked to at these negotiations, they do get it individually at the personal level. The problem is more they're trying to overcome the political will or lack of political will in the broader system, which is then when they usually say a classic line back to me as a young person, well, it's on you as a young person because you need to go out there and create the political will that will allow me to do what you're saying, which is a point of frustration. But still, they can learn a lot from us, and I think they really do depend on us to have creative solutions. And I'm certainly not the first person who thought of using a lower discount rate, but I think I'm one of on the cutting edge of young people who are really taking up that issue just because we haven't known about it before. It's just been a debate in academic circles. And so if you can study those issues, you can understand what you want to change, that's why I studied economics, then you're in a position to make the case. And then we bring about the political will too, and the leaders are fully influenced to do it.
Hey, how are you guys doing? My name is Leah Ackerman. I'm currently studying environmental science at Towson University, and this will be my senior year. I just want to know what's some advice that you give someone in that kind of position?
Do you know what you want to do? Do you have any idea?
I guess, obviously look towards EPA, maybe private environmental consulting, stuff around that kind of area. In general, I don't really know exactly what I want to do yet, but I guess just some advice in that last year of that, but yeah.
I think my biggest one is, since you're still a student, to contact the organizations or corporations that you're interested in and kind of do like just a mock interview or just interview the person that you might want to either shadow or possibly take that position. And since you're still a student, they'll kind of take you, they won't think you're trying to look for a job right off the bat, but you're already showing interest in that field. And so that later, if that's something that you actually do want to do, you already have a name, a number, and a contact that will kind of lead you in much easier.
I absolutely want to second that, because I've run into this problem twice now, both after finishing my undergraduate degree and then after finishing my master's degree. A lot of opportunities, internships and things actually specify that you be a current student. Not graduated a month ago, but currently a student, accredited at the appropriate level of academic institution. So use informational interviews. That's going to be the buzzword that's going to open some doors for you as a senior. And you're going to say, well, you're an awesome, amazing person. I looked at your bio and your job is wonderful, and I'm a senior and I just want to learn, from you where I'm going. Flatter the person. People love to give advice and feel like they're important or they've achieved somewhere in their life, because we all kind of constantly face this insecurity and uncertainty about where we're going. So people will be more than happy to respond to you in that way, and especially because you're still a student, and look for opportunities that will be open only to students, because I realized a little too late, even from my master's, that some of those doors would arbitrarily close.
kind of along with that, but start a job hunt now. Even if you're not going to apply, it's really good to see what's out there, what type of jobs exist, so that you can get a feel of where you might be headed. Other one would be look to see if there are internships over fall break, winter break, anything like that. I found out way too late that there was something really cool I could have done one year. And they're shorter, but they're still really good experience, especially if you can find something in what you want. And the other one would be is if you're not taking any courses that go over resume and writing samples and cover letters, find out what your school offers in way of tutoring on that, so that you can write a really good cover letter and a really good resume. I know it's cliche, but they're important.
Hello, my name's Giovanna, and I am a current graduate, recent graduate from George
Congrats.
Mason. Yeah, thanks. And so I am currently on that limbo of recent grad, and so although I was already doing internships during my my period as a student, now it's time to transition into a full-time position, and you know, I've gone to career services, and I've worked on resumes, fixing up my resume and tweaking my cover letters, and it still seems to be kind of competitive, I feel. So do you have any suggestions out there for something that could possibly be, or how did you do, you know, how did you get out of that limbo when you were like a recent graduate, or any advice for all us recent grads?
I'm still a little bit in that limbo because I'm working retail, and I really love my company and I like where I am, but it's not necessarily where I'm going to be for forever. So I totally understand that. If you can find some place to volunteer right now, or even like an internship or something that shows you're still committed to doing things while you're in that limbo, the more active you look and the more interested you look in your fields, the better you'll appear on applications.
I was kind of in that limbo for quite a while when I graduated. I actually took a job in an auto parts international, so it was like the complete opposite. I basically drove a car to drop off parts to a place that would fix cars. So it was the complete opposite of what I was looking for. But the main thing I did is be very honest with your resume and cover letter, and be passionate about the cover letter, not so much like overly, zealous about it, but just be honest and say, this is my dream job, or this is kind of something I would look very forward to being a part of. And also look for jobs that are stepping stones. That's pretty much I was an assistant auditor, and then I moved into being an auditor within 6 months' time. So you might start off in a lower position that you intended to be, but you can quickly move up if you are passionate and you're in that field that you think you're going to want to be in for a while.
And there's no shame with stepping stones whatsoever. You're going to end up learning things that you never imagined, but everything is good experience.